Alex is in Nashville. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hey, Dave. I'm doing good. How are you?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
Well, I'm the owner of a pool service business in Nashville. Did about $1 million in revenue last year, on track to do about the same this year. I'm just struggling to figure out what I should be paying myself. I make about $118 a year right now, and we don't have a ton of profit left over. We've got a couple of trucks we're trying to pay off. I'm just trying to figure out how much cash I should have in the business. I have a personal emergency fund, but I sort of haven't transferred my financial values over to my business. Been in business about 8 years, so just kind of
trucks you need to pay off. So you have debt on trucks.
A little bit, yeah.
How much?
I think it's $90,000 on 8 trucks.
Okay, all right. Well, the first thing I would do is to put your household on the minimum that it can operate on. What would it take to operate your home?
About $70,000.
Okay, so I'm going to start taking home $70,000. I'm going to leave the rest of it in the business to reduce the debt and build retained earnings. Any profits past your basic living expense salary, you need to clear the debt up. Because if you get $90,000 worth of debt off the books on $1 million business, your margins are going to go up.
Yeah.
And so you got a cash drain on you here. You're trying to drive the boat with an anchor out the back. And so, what we teach is different than the debt snowball and the stuff we teach on personal finance. We teach small businesses to take your net profit after you pay yourself a living wage. Your case is $70,000. Whatever your net profit is each month, then I would put either 20 or 30% of it aside as a retained earnings buildup to grow the business and fund any shortfalls or any bad months or stuff like that. And then the rest of it, the other 80 or 70%, I would throw at the debt until the debt is gone. So it sounds like that's $50,000 a year, so probably $40,000 going towards the debt. You'd be debt free in a couple of years on those trucks.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. I guess once I would be debt free, is there an ethical number or percentage?
No.
The
amount is not an ethical issue. The only thing that drives your amount is you need to leave enough in the business to grow the business and for the business to be healthy. Our businesses have never had debt, so I simply apply this formula. I take a percentage of our net profits out before I get paid and set it aside for retained earnings, and the rest of it's mine. I don't leave anything else down here except retained earnings.
Okay.
But I continually grow my retained earnings, and it has never grown as fast as the business has grown. So I never really get there. But at this stage, with $300 million top line, our retained earnings are tens of millions of dollars, obviously. But It's still not as much as I would like for it to be in a business this size. But I still grow it a little bit every month. A percentage of our net profits go to retained earnings automatically. Everything else is mine. And I take it home, and then once it's home, I do charity work with it, philanthropy work through our family foundation. We grow our personal investments. We enjoy it. But our generosity, our enjoyment, and our investments all happen at home once we pull it out of the business. And no, there's not an unethical amount. One thing I like to teach people is that that once you take money home, that you always are living on less than you're taking home, and that leaves an overflow, an excess to be used for generosity and the helping of others. And as long as you are allowing some margin for generosity, substantial generosity, then that's your only ethical measure. And so if you're taking $10 million home and you give away $500,000, or you take $10 million home, you give away $1 million, you got a great life and you got an unbelievable generosity, outrageous generosity. So if you take a zero off of that and take $100,000 home and you put $10,000 in generosity, you live on 90. That's still you keep the only ethical thing is keep your lifestyle at home smaller than your income so that you have room for generosity, and then that'll drive your ethics. And that's a Jewish principle called the Havdalah service. And Rabbi Daniel Lapin taught it to me in person and in his book, Thou Shalt Prosper. Both. That's exactly how we do it. So good stuff, Alex. Good question. Sounds like you got a good business. I'm proud of you. Keep it up, man. Let's get those trucks paid off and then go to the moon with this baby. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.